Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal, where we invite you to explore the heart and soul of our company, Kivi Brothers Trucking. Through engaging storytelling, insightful market updates, and vibrant energy, our podcast reflects our culture, values, and achievements. Whether you're a team member or industry enthusiast, join us to build connections, foster growth, and inspire excellence. Discover why we're more than just a company. We're a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those aspiring to be part of something extraordinary. The pre-trip is complete and engines ready. We're set to hit the road on the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back to Keep Trucking Personal. My name is Tyler Kivi, and I am really excited today because I've had Kaitlyn, my wife, Kaitlyn Kivi, on the podcast before, and she's interviewed me, and I've spoke with her, and now it's been what, a year probably?
Probably close to a year, yeah.
About a year since she's been back on the podcast. And I'm excited because she's done many things, as always, to help the company succeed. And in her most recent role, she's been a driver specialist. So I'm really excited to get to unpack that and what she sees make drivers successful and how other drivers can capitalize on the opportunities, especially most recently. So welcome back, Kaitlyn.
Thanks.
So for those of you that don't know, I get to sit side by side, and Kaitlyn and I work together every day. So when I go through this and questions with her, I'm not only listening to what she has to say, but I also get to hear it. And she does it consistently day in and day out. So this isn't just like a one quick interception and she's running it for the touchdown. She does this every single day. And so it's going to be helpful. So if you're a driver and you're wondering how can you capitalize on money, right? Money is probably one of the most important things. Or how can you make sure that you hit your home time that you had planned? That's another important thing, right? Or how do you make sure that, quote unquote, you get the loads that fit your schedule and so on? Another important thing, right? Like drivers like certain types of loads or customer this or that. So there's just tweaks all over the place. But so first and foremost, how you doing?
Great.
Excited to be back. I'm sure you've heard me record many podcast episodes and have been part of that. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the most recent change here at you helping Kivi Brothers Trucking in the driver specialist role? How's that been?
It's been great. I mean, like you said, I've kind of been in many different roles and in different parts of the company.
Still are in a lot of roles.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard once you have your foot in the door of certain places to kind of exit fully. And sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's probably really annoying to a lot of people. But right now I'm kind of just figuring out where I can be best placed to be the most efficient and help everybody out the most. I think operations has always been my favorite. I'll move around wherever I'm needed, but I think that's my comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's probably where I feel like I am the most educated with the most experience. So
on comfort zone in operations is quite unique because operations is 1,000 miles an hour, bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
So I think we see that a lot of times. Operations there's not a lot of middle area, right? There's a learning transition to get into operations, but you either really adapt to challenges and obstacles coming your way fast, or you get overwhelmed with them. And adapting is what you need. But it's unique to hear people like what, and I think in trucking operations, once people are in it and you leave that adrenaline filled type role, a lot of times get like sucked back into it because you just kind of either crave it or you have so much value.
Yeah, I think it's easy burnout because what you're saying, it's a lot of go for a long period of time. So it's easy to feel burnt out and feel like you need a break. But I think very quickly you realize you actually probably thrive in that environment and you're a little bit bored when you're not there. So it's definitely, a catch-22. You got to find a balance of all things. But I mean, that's life.
That role, that's where I feel it's fun. It's especially sitting next to you, right? The challenges that you get thrown at you. Because you not only do the driver specialist for a set of drivers, but you assist on taking calls from all drivers. So you're not just have your subset of drivers and you're like, okay, once they're set and done and taken care of, check, you're also assisting with all drivers. So you get not only, so picture the situations that every driver goes through, but then take it when you're not even up to speed and you kind of sometimes get brought in towards the tail end, or maybe you're the first call where you're picking up the pieces really fast.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a support role, and I think it's something that we as a team have wanted for a really long time and just haven't necessarily found the right person for. And funny enough, I guess it's full circle moment.
Yeah.
This is where I ended up. But I think the problem is that you need someone that does have some of the experience, not just in the industry, but with Kivi Brothers. And I can bring that at least to the table. So yeah, I have my set of drivers. I have a really great bunch. They're pretty self-sufficient. We knock down the miles and don't have a lot of hiccups. So it does provide me the time to catch those overflow calls.
Mhm.
If you are a Kivi Brothers trucking driver, mostly over the road, but even heavy haul sometimes, you've probably spoken to me once or twice. Our specialists are busy, then the phone calls roll over to me. But yeah, it's kind of a dodge and hook situation sometimes because very quickly you have to figure out who you're talking to, what the problem is, and what they need from you. And quickly,
Yeah.
efficiency is key right now when they're out on the road, whether it's directions or a pickup number or they're having trouble, route planning. We do a lot of that lately. Any type of payroll issues, overweight issues. Pretty much if you're calling in, usually it's a problem. So it's a problem solving situation, which I think is really fun.
Yeah. Before we get into like your advice and opportunities you see for drivers, can you explain what a day looks like as a driver specialist? Walk through just how you kind of punch out your morning and maybe set yourself up for midday and then how you wrap up your day.
Yeah, I mean, the mornings are key. We get in and we want to double check that everyone is where they're supposed to be. So that's your number one, just checking on locations, matching that up with appointment times, whether they're pickup or delivery, making sure your drivers, have everything that they need at those locations, making sure that nothing happened after hours or overnight that you need to catch up to speed on. And then you're talking to them. I think a big part of dispatching that sometimes people forget about is relationships. Relationships are really important. And I think the biggest, most important relationship within the industry, within the company, is that of the driver and the driver specialist. So, you're calling not just to have a professional phone call of, where are you? What is your ETA? Things like that. But you're also checking in. Okay, how's your morning going? Did you get some sleep last night? How are you feeling? It's easy to get sick over the road, get homesick over the road. There's tons of things
Need a mental break sometimes.
for sure. And, sometimes people just want to chat. And, while we have a job to do and that needs to be number one, we do want to check in and make sure everyone's doing well too. So we get all that together and
Well, and that's the foundation of what we've really tried to pin down, right? Is staying personal. So making sure that we build connections, foster trust and relationships, like you said, are paramount to that. And when you trust each other and you understand each other, I think, that leads to the success that we're trying to achieve together.
for sure, I would put a lot of stake into having a successful driver is the relationship that we try to
Yeah.
form with them.
Well, and that's the basis of the podcast even is also to bring back that old school driver, right? I think there's been some misconceptions in industry. We talk a lot about us versus them versus us. We hear that all the time. My goal is to change that. And the reason I know that it can be done or where that like drive comes from is when we were 30 trucks, 40 trucks, when you're smaller, you can have that control. So I witnessed it firsthand. Their trust levels were, you didn't have the conversations that I see happening nowadays where it's, well, why am I getting this? Or why is this going on? Or what's this? Or kind of that, I didn't trust you. You could tell the undertone is like, I get in trust. You even pick up some calls occasionally that are kind of like maybe double checking. Is this right? Is this what I'm supposed to do? And sometimes, drivers know what we do and they know how we do it. And so sometimes they catch our mistakes, which is totally understandable. We all make mistakes, but building that like trust that, hey, I know Joe said he's going to be here at this time. I'm already a step ahead of him because I know how he likes to run and I can manage him better when I'm a step ahead of him. Our relationship really thrives. But bringing back that old school trucking mindset of we're in this together, right? One side doesn't succeed without the other. Just doesn't. It's impossible almost to see success, specifically long-term success where you're not dealing with turnover, right? Because that's another challenge that once you get tension, and it's not good tension, right? Good tension is there, and that's healthy when there's expectations and there's, responsibility on either side. That's healthy. But when you get that like push that doesn't make sense, and you felt it, right? That's what's so special about you being the guest right now, is you can explain like what you see firsthand, right? There's nothing like you've seen it firsthand that sometimes when the friction's there, it causes unnecessary failures. I guess, right? Is that maybe the best way to look at it?
For sure. I mean, I'm lucky with my group of drivers. I think, thankfully, we've established some pretty good trust right off the bat. I don't get a lot of pushback or a lot of questions as far as the planning goes. Like you said, everybody makes mistakes. If you know you're going to a shipper that has to have a pickup number and you don't see a pickup number, yeah, absolutely call me.
Yeah. It's a team. It's not intentional to set you up to fail.
We all make mistakes. I need you to keep me in check. You know what I mean? But there's a respect aspect to it. And I think that's the difference. When you can't trust your team, you can't trust your dispatcher to make sure that you're running well and efficiently. That's the problem. And it's a vicious cycle because once you start the distrust, it's hard to come back from it.
Well, and the best part about you being in this position is you can prove that you do not have to have a Class A or driving history to set a driver up for success. I think that's a stigma that drivers just kind of come together and think, oh, they've never driven a truck. They don't understand what I'm going through. Results showing it, right? The data is showing it. You have your relationships. That's kind of the not on paper, right? But on paper, you're able to produce it, and you know what needs to be done, and you're not pushing limits or boundaries. You're transparent with them. If you don't understand how something works, you're very vulnerable, and you'll ask, hey, I've never been a part of something like this. How does it work? But with all that being said, you deliver what they need and they deliver what you need, and it works. And you've got kind of a, maybe a little testimonial. I know some of a recent driver that was celebrating the success of big paychecks, right? And that's just one that was, and for any driver out there listening, if you've had a lot of success through driver specialists, let them know. I think it goes a long ways because as you said, the burnout is real. This job is fast paced. As a driver sees it, they go through just what their challenges are, right? Multiply that by 10, 20, 30 times, if not more. One driver could have multiple issues in one day just randomly. But picture that just going on and on and on. And as you're someone on the other end of the phone, you're trying to fight these challenges or obstacles as fast as you can and follow back up and make sure that everybody's got what they need. There's a lot that goes on. So good news is good to hear. And can you kind of talk through like the little bit of, I know there's many drivers like you said, your relationships, but some good news that you've had from a driver?
Yeah. I mean, it truly is a partnership. I have my job to do and you have your job to do. And as long as we both do our parts and then come together and collaborate, it's successful.
Yeah.
If you try to do my job and I try to do yours, there's too much overlapping. That's when bad things happen. Again, it goes back to trust. I haven't had the team of drivers I've had for long, so I feel really lucky that we've been able to establish what we have in the short amount of time that we've had together. But yes, I love it. It was probably my favorite email I've ever gotten is when somebody comes to me and says, look at this this is the biggest check I've ever had in trucking. And that's a win for me too. Is the money in my account? No, it's not. But my job is to make sure that you're successful. So what I just saw was, okay, maybe I'm doing a good job too. And we need that also. Everyone needs, a little pat on the back once in a while. And it makes me feel good that you are going home with a check that's going to help support you, support your family, make you feel a little bit more secure. And again, that garners trust between the two of us.
Yeah.
They let me do my side and you do yours. And that's exactly what this driver did. There was no pushback. If anything, he may have not believed some of the stuff that he could do. And after, talking through it and being able to route plan together, it gives the drivers too a little bit of, okay, maybe I can do it. And you know what? They do every time.
Yeah.
So it's really a mindset. You have to believe that it is possible. And
well, like to your point there, I also being right next to you, right? Like I said, I get to listen to conversations. I kind of know the pulse of what the operations is going through based off just how your calls are going. If things are going sideways or it's been after a holiday or something, right? I can tell, okay, we've got it's a big engine, right? When a lot of times when those engines slow down for holidays, they got to fire back up, and takes a bunch of coal to get those engines running. You got to keep filling it up. And you on the other side, so we just talked about driver giving you a compliment, but you are also motivating and building drivers up continuously into that, to the point you just said, laying out plans. So expectations, right? I think that's the biggest focus that we've set here in the last several months, expectations, right? Then we're going to commit to each other. There's some expected arrival times for this shipment. It's not just a loosey goosey, put it on the trailer and, it's enjoy the countryside. You get to do that, but you have these expectations, but you build them up. Motivation, you're their support on the road. What is that? And how much do you see that needing this? Is that like another thing that this industry is lacking on, like in motivation and like you kicking butt?
Yeah. I mean, I think we get wrapped up in like the technical parts of the job. And like I said, as a partnership, it happens, within the office too. You need every piece of the puzzle. Without one or two pieces, like the puzzle falls apart. It's not the same picture.
Mm.
So you need the people that, are analytical, can see the numbers, can put things together and say, this is what's best for business. And then on the other side of the token, you need the people, the ones that are able to kind of understand what people are going through, even if they're not out with them. Like you need the empathy, you need the sympathy, you need the people that can talk to people and have the hard conversations. We're all important. And I think remembering that is such an integral part of all of our successes. I've got people thankfully behind me that are data driven and number driven, and while I'm interested in that, that's not my strong point. So I'm thankful that I have those people so that I don't have to do it. And I can spend my time talking to people through problems. And sometimes it's business related, but like I said, you form partnerships, you form friendships with these people, and sometimes they need something more than just the job. Their jobs are hard out on the road. They see a lot of stuff that people shouldn't have to see. They're treated certain ways that people shouldn't have to be treated.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want to go talk to, your friends and your family about stuff like that. It's not comfortable.
Yeah. Or they may not understand even, right? You might vent it to them if they don't understand it.
So I don't mind being that person. I like being that person. Obviously, like I said, we have to get to business when it's time for business. But if we have a couple of minutes and you need to vent to somebody and you need help with something, I'm more than happy to be there and to do it. And I'm happy that you have that person.
I think I would look at a lot of the things that you do as kind of like a success coach. It's truly the way I see it, right? Like you're going through navigating these load situations, setting the loads up for the driver, but you're making sure that they're successful. And what I like when you think of it as that coach is, like I said, you're getting calls from all over the place. You're supporting internally. You never undermine somebody else's decision. You're always transparent, but like there's not a bad minded approach here, right? Maybe there's a reason that this plan is put together because you might be questioning, right, as a driver. And then I guess majority of the time, based on the conversations I hear, but I'm sure you can agree, there is a plan, right? There's a long-term plan, even in this short, well, I don't want a short little load here because, maybe I'm looking for more miles right now. Well, we are trying to look a load, 2 loads, 3 loads ahead, but it does take follow through, right? If you're frustrated because you wanted a longer load and you maybe put the brakes on a little bit and slow down or only run 100 miles today because of some reason,
It trickles down.
it can mess up the long-term plan. And then that plan is something you might be frustrated about. And we know drivers, anyone that's been in the truck by yourself, isolated, you start to stew on these things and you start to think someone's, I don't trust this person now and someone's got it out for me. So being honest and letting them, taking their calls, letting them vent, because you've been on, like we were talking about, many hats, right? You've been in brokerage, customer service, so you understand what customers expect and the type of professionalism we have to deliver, and you always embody that. Being on the driver's side and in management, like you can see all of the spokes in the wheel that take to go round. And I think as a driver, like if I were a driver and I had you on the other end, like, man, I'd feel confident in what I have going on. Those are all important things. So what habits do you see drivers do that help them earn the most money? Or let's look at another side of the coin. Money, home time are all important, but maybe the least amount of stress that they can manage if they have a different view of what the driver specialist does for them.
I mean, I feel like a broken record sometimes, and this might seem like the most basic thing, but it is, which is a good thing. It's communication for everything. I don't want to call you all day, every day for updates. I don't want you to have to call me to get information. Like we're going to be as efficient as possible with making sure you can do your job. You're not missing any integral information that makes it possible for you to do what you need to do efficiently. But I need to know when you need home time or when something else is going on. I need to know if something happened with your family and it's causing, delays. I need to know if you blew a tire on the side of the road and were delayed. Those are such important things. And it's not just so that I can plan properly, but it's also so that I can communicate with other people. I think when you have a job to do, especially when you're out on the road by yourself, it's so easy to forget about all of the other people that kind of help keep the wheels spinning. And, I'll stand by it 100 times. The drivers are the most important people in this industry, in this company, all of the things. However, there are other important people. Our customers are very important, and it's important that we deliver on the promises that we make, and we need the drivers to be able to do that. And I think sometimes that gets lost with the drivers because they forget that we don't just grab any old customer. We're not just, out there saying, oh, you need your freight hauled. We're going to haul it.
We're here.
Right. We are actively shopping for a customer base that fits the needs of the drivers that we have on our team. We want the best customer freight. We want the best lanes that make sense for you to A, make you money, and B, to get you home on time. And we need to make sure that we're serving those customers properly and to the best of our ability to ensure that we can continue to service them. And that means picking up on time and delivering on time and doing things safely. And it's important that everybody does their part to be able to make that a success.
Yep. And we've seen it. I mean, this isn't like we only talk about the flashy stuff, right? Like we've seen when there's a breakdown in communication before it even gets to the driver, and it could be just the littlest thing. And then it spools all the way to the driver. And then we go, well, how did that happen? And we back it up. And so one little misstep in communication can easily disrupt plans of many situations, or can get customers. So the phone rings even more, right? Like it's not like we were talking about, this isn't just you as a driver specialist or any of the driver specialists waiting around for the phone to ring. No, we're actively working on plans ahead of time. We're communicating with many people, specifically if something's running behind. Even when it's running ahead of schedule, we're trying to communicate so that we can make sure that if there is a delivery appointment required that was previously set, it's changed, or the customer knows, or if there's a crane on in Flatbed, we do a lot of unique things. Job site deliveries, you have to communicate. And even as a driver, communicate to your end user. We provide phone numbers and we do a lot of setting up, but a lot of times you need that step-by-step play on how to get into the job site or the delivery. So communication, I mean, you couldn't have said it better. That's huge.
Yeah, it's for sure the number one. I mean, and again, I've talked about trust a few times. It really is a two-way street. You have to trust me to be able to run you efficiently and get the best rate for you. But I need to be able to trust you that you'll be where you say you're going to be when you are saying you're going to be there. Yeah. If, you have an appointment for 9 a.m., my best drivers are showing up at 8:25. Yeah. They're not rolling in at 9:03. They're not an hour late. They're there half an hour before I expect them to be there.
We've talked so much about setting up drivers for success and what it looks like behind the scenes. And there's so much here to unpack. Next week's episode, we're going to go through all of the tips and tricks that a driver could use to set themselves up for success. Really, any driver, doesn't have to be at Kivi, but you're going to use your experience and give practical advice. And we'll kind of walk through those one by one and make sure that we set up a driver to earn the most he can earn, to be home as often as she can be home, and all of the in-betweens, and have fun while doing it. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
We've got a lot to talk about, so.
There's a lot here. See you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the heart and soul of Kivi Brothers Trucking with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Tune in next time as we continue our journey together, diving deeper into what makes us a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those who aspire to be part of something truly extraordinary. Until then, keep trucking, and we'll catch you on the next episode.